Hey guys, this is Donnie from Team Rynoke, and I figured it's been a while since we brought you a deck profile, so I was going to bring you my Blackwings that I played this past weekend. There's a number of other decks I'm working on that I want to show y'all, but frankly all of them are going to change next week with Prime Origins anyway, and I figured Blackwings just got new support out of Dragons of Legends, so I'll show y'all how my testing is done with the new cards, how I like them, what the ratios I believe should be. Like I said, I went to a tournament this past weekend. I did 2 tournaments. First tournament I got stomped pretty bad. Second tournament, after tweaking the deck some more, I got 2nd place. And I beat Gravekeepers, Girjas, and Madolches. And then we just got to top 2 because I was the only undefeated. And I lost to that same Madolche player in the top 2. So the deck is kind of susceptible to bad hands. But all in all, it can still blow up pretty well compared to how it used to be. But first off, the monsters, I run 1 Sirocco. I kind of want to put him at 2 just because I never draw him when I need him, but 2 can be pretty clunky. He's real good for that opening turn 2. With Black Whirlwind, he lets you search just about anything else in the deck. And he's just a good beater, 2000. He's good for OTKs, or just finishing your opponent off due to his effect of gaining attack points. He basically targets a Blackwing, and that Blackwing gains all the attack points of every Blackwing you control. And you usually put him on one of the ones that can pierce or something like that, and it's real easy damage, especially against Draco Sack and his tokens and stuff like that. A lot of people don't expect it, and it's just a real quick, easy win sometimes, mid to late game. Like I said, the Piercer, we've got Blackwing Bora the Spear here. He's a 1700 with piercing. His stats aren't too great. He's still pretty decent for Black Whirlwind because you get to search out a number of the other monsters. Sirocco, Bora, and Shura being the only ones you can't really search with it. But his other effect is as long as you control a Blackwing, like say Sirocco, other than Bora, as long as you control Blackwing other than Bora, you get to special summon him. So you have 2 or 3 of him in your hand, you got a full field right off the gate. And that opens up a lot of synchro and exceeding plays. Just be careful to not overextend too much, which is something Blackwing players tend to do sometimes. Next Blackwing I've got Gale, the Whirlwind. He's the tuner pretty much. Like, he is one of the best cards introduced back when synchroing was first good. He's a level 3 tuner. Just like Bora, he can special summon himself if you control a Blackwing other than Gale the Whirlwind. He's limited to 1, so you won't ever control a Gale and special summon a Gale. He was one of the first things hit in this deck. He's got another effect where he can target an opponent's monster once per turn and cut their attack and defense in half. And now that's not until end phase. It's a permanent stat decrease, and it really helps for getting damage or getting over big monsters. But he also opens up a lot of synchro plays since you can special summon him if you control a Blackwing. Next up, we got 3 Blackwing Shuras. He's an 1800 attack, so he helps you search a lot with Black Whirlwind, which we'll get to later, but I assume you know what Black Whirlwind is. His effect is a little slow, but it's still one of the best things for the deck. Whenever he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to special summon a Blackwing from your deck that has 1500 or less attack. So you can summon Gale, or you can summon Vayu, Steam, Roshi, one of the other tuners of the deck. And I'll get into them here in a minute. But he's just pretty good for help thinning out your deck and getting monsters out. Not to mention he's a good normal summon off of Black Whirlwind. Next I run 2 Blizzard the Far Norths. I don't run 3 because he can get kind of cloggy, especially if you don't run a whole lot of level 6s, synchros. He's a level 2 tuner, and he's basically a wolf bark for the deck. Whenever you normal summon him, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Blackwing from your graveyard. I believe it's in defense mode, and its effects are negated. Its effects aren't negated, so you can still use Gale's effect. But at summon in defense mode, basically he just opens up to synchro for 6, so you bring back Shura or Bora. You can go 6, or you can bring back a level 3 Blackwing that's not a tuner and go 5, which is what I'll show you here in a minute. It just really helps for comebacks, kind of, and just help to give you a monster on the field pretty quick. But he's better for later game. You don't want to draw him too early, which is why you only run 2. And he's usually best when searched off the Searcher card, which we'll get into with the spells. I run 3 Kaloots, which is given. Banlist gave us 3 Kaloots back not too long ago. It's basically the deck's honest, but it's not as good. But it's still really good. Whenever a Blackwing monster you control attacks or is attacked, you can drop this card from your hand to the graveyard, and then that monster gains 1,400 attack points. So on one hand, it has a set amount of points it gives. It doesn't double their attack like Crane. It doesn't give them their opponent's attack like Honest, and it can't activate during the damage step or calculation because you have to drop it when you declare the attack or when an attack is declared. But at the same time, you don't have to be battling a monster. You can be attacking direct and say they have 1,100 life points left, and or like they just have 3,900 life points left, and you're attacking with a Shura. You can drop a Kaloot to give them that extra attack points to finish them off. It's a pretty good hand trap. I run 1 Zephyros. He's a pretty decent level 4. His effect can only be used once per duel, which is why you only run 1 Zephyros. But once per turn, if he's in the graveyard, you can bounce a face-up card you control to your hand, and then special summon him from the grave, and you take 400 points of damage. He can recycle Fiendish Chains, you can bounce a Black Whirlwind, you can bounce any of your Blackwing monsters. Like a play you could do, like say you have a Blackwing out, like you have Gale, you can special summon Bora, bounce Bora back to hand to special summon Shura, and then you can re-special summon Bora. It's kind of similar to what the Girja players do with their Girja accelerators, except Blackwings did it first. But other than that, I've got the 2 new Blackwing monsters that I use. Steam the Cloak, he's kind of similar to Zephyros. He's a level 3 tuner. He's summonable by Shura, so he's usually who I go for with Shura plays. I usually don't even bring out Gale off Shura anymore. I usually bring out Steam. But whenever he leaves the field at all, you get a Steam token, which is 0/0, level 1, Aqua Steam token. So it doesn't work with any of the Blackwing cards, but once per duel while he's in the graveyard, you contribute a monster you control to special summon him. So say you have Shura out, run over their monster, get out Steam, maybe poke a little bit of damage. You can sink 7 to bring out Armor Master or something else, and you can get a token. You can then tribute the token and bring back Shura. And then sink for 10, or if you have another monster, you can sink 7. It's just real good help for the big plays. Other than that, I'm running 1 Orochi. I'm not too fond of him. He's okay. He's not that great. He's still better than Vayu. I don't like Vayu at all in the build anymore. I don't even run it. But Orochi, basically, he's like Bora and Gale. He'll special summon himself from your hand if you control a Blackwing other than him. And whenever he's used for a Synchro Summon, he's a level 1 tuner. Whenever he's used for a Synchro Summon, you can target a monster your opponent controls and switch it to defense mode. So say you got Sirocco out, you can special summon him, sync for 6, get out Armed Wing, and the monster switch to defense mode so you can deal piercing, or you can just get over a big boss monster, whatever you really need. That's it for monsters. That's 16 monsters. Next up, I've got my spells. I run 3 Black Whirlwinds, which is one of the best cards in the deck. Whenever a Blackwing monster you control is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can add a Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand with attack lower than it. So say you normal summon Shura, you can add Bora to your hand, Orochi, Steam, Gale, Blizzard, Kaloot. It's usually the best way to get Kaloot or Blizzard to your hand is with Black Whirlwind. And Sirocco also helps you get your Shura, gets any of them to your hand. It's just one of the better cards in the deck because it lets you keep replenishing your hand with monsters. It lets you keep getting your monsters, which is something this deck really needs to help that speed and help with the big pushes. I run 1 Dark Hole just because a lot of decks swarm the field nowadays, and it's just a good way to get rid of any problem things. Even if they have like a set Girja armor that you just don't want them to flip up, you can Dark Hole, you can get rid of set monsters without attacking into them if you're scared if it's a Fossil Diner or something like that. It's just good monster removal. I run 2 Pot of Dualities. The deck does special summon a lot, but at the same time, a lot of turns it can just normal summon and be fine. Which is why Duality's in here to help me search out my key cards that I might need, like a Black Whirlwind or Shura or anything like that, just to speed it along and then save the big push for later. I run 3 MSTs, which is pretty obvious. I mean, MST is a pretty basic card. You usually just run that to deal with back row and any kind of like hate your opponent might have. I run 1 Book of Moon, again pretty standard. It's usually just to disrupt some plays. Stop them from synchroing and exceeding. Stop up their plays however you can. I run 2 Forbidden Lances. Sorry if there's a bit of a glare. But I run 2 Forbidden Lances because this deck relies on its normal summons and it relies on its monsters being protected. Because if they bottomless or they do anything like that to keep your monsters from getting out, then you're not going to have a field to special summon your Bora and your Gale and all that. But it also helps with one of the boss monsters for the deck called Armor Master, who can't be destroyed by battle, but he can still be destroyed by spells and traps. So if you lance him, he loses the attack points, but it doesn't matter because you don't take battle damage from him battling, and he can't be destroyed by battle. That's it for spells. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spells. I run 16 monsters, 12 spells, and 12 traps. The trap lineup's a little iffy. I'm still kind of tweaking it, but this is what I played for the tournament. I run 2 Delta Crow anti-reverses. It's a really good trap, and I really want to open it in my opening hand, especially if I'm going first. But you can only activate this while you control 1 Blackwing monster. When you activate, you destroy all all face-down spell and trap cards your opponent controls. So most people in the game right now are setting 5, passing turn. So if you get to go first and you get to set this, then you activate that during the end phase and clear out their entire back row. You've probably got the game at that point. But with so much back row right now, this is just a really good card to help you take care of it. It's got a secondary effect where if you control exactly 3 Blackwings, you can activate it from your hand, and it'll still have the speed of a trap. So if you have 3 out, you can keep it in your hand and still do it. But that's a little too risky for my taste. They could easily get rid of one of the monsters, and I just don't like keeping it in my hand. I might put it down to 1, but as of right now, 2 is doing really good for me. Next up, I've got 2 Icarus attacks. Thinking of putting it to 3. I like it at 2. It's not as much of a dead draw. Basically, you tribute a Winged Beast and you get to pop 2 cards. It doesn't have to be face up either, so you can set an Orochi, you can set a Steam, and then tribute it at any point to pop just 2 cards of their cards. It's 2 of their cards. It's real good, just waiting for them to start blowing up, just wait for them to start going off, and then wait for until they're set up for an Exceed or a Synchro. Then Icarus attack 2 of their key cards, so they're left with just 1 weak monster out, or they're left with no monsters, or it's a good way to pop back row, etc., etc. It's just real good spot removal. Actually, the last Blackwing exclusive card, Black Sonic. This just came out in Dragons of Legend. Whenever your opponent declares an attack on a Blackwing monster you control, you activate this trap card and you banish all attack position monsters they control. So basically, Deep Prison and Mirror Force had a baby, and this is it. It's a really good trap. It's a very hyped trap. I don't like it at more than 1 because it's dead a lot. It's a battle trap just like Mirror Force and Deep Prison, and your opponents have to attack, otherwise it's dead. But I still really like it at 1. It's a real good surprise, and just because this card is out, people are more scared to attack Blackwings, which is probably my favorite thing about it. It's also got that effect where if you control 3 Blackwing monsters, then you can activate it from your hand. Other traps are pretty basic. I've got Torrential, Bottomless, Solemn Warning. I've got 2 Wiretaps, which I prefer over 7 Tools, just because you don't have to pay the life points, and who cares if you send the trap back? It's not... Even if they do draw it, that's still another turn you're going to have to wait to have to deal with it. Other than that, I run 2 Breakthrough Skills. I'm really fond of this card over Fiendish Chain right now, just because it can be MST'd. with artifacts coming out, back row hate's going to be a lot more popular. There's going to be a lot more back row hate to have to deal with. It just straight up negates it, and on your turn it lets you stop. It lets you negate effects of monsters that can't be destroyed, or monsters that can be problem, like Abyss Mega Glow, Zen Mains, Kagebujin, Kagetsuchi, etc. But my extra deck's pretty basic in the Exceeds, just basic rank 4s. I got Exiton Knight for obvious reasons, Cowboy for that extra pop, Diamond Direwolf. All the monsters are winged beasts, so you don't always have to pop Wolf. Number 101, Silent Monarch, Abyss Dweller, Ice Beast Xerophine, which is a rank 4 that winged beasts that Blackwings can use. It takes 2 level 4 winged beasts. Once per turn, you detach a material and you negate all face-up cards your opponent controls. So it negates Necro Valley, Madolche Ticket, Chateau, all those cards, and then he gains 300 attack for all face-up cards, including your own, besides him. So he can get some pretty good attack points, and it negates the effects until your next standby phase. So it's just a really good card people usually don't see coming. And like I said, there's a lot of tuners in the deck, so you play quite a few Synchros too. I actually believe I play more Synchros than Exceeds. I run 1 Catastor to deal with monsters that are problems. Destroy, it's a good way to get around Honest. Stuff like that. Armades, another good way to get around Honest. None of them traps. Whenever he declares an attack, cards can't be activated. It's just a good, safe way. My level 6s, I've got Armedwing, because he works with the Blackwing traps. And he's a winged beast, he works with Icarus attack, and he's just good. He works with Sirocco, all the Blackwing support. HDS Sahemoth, he's a non-targeting monster removal, which is the reason I use him, because he's good for dealing with Bujins, just any monster that protects itself, really. My level 7 Synchros, I've got Black Rose Dragon and Blackwing Armor Master. Black Rose Dragon's just good for pop, for blowing up the field whenever you need to. Armor Master, his effect is that he can't be destroyed by battle, and I take no battle damage from battle involving him, so he's another good way to get around Honest or other hand traps. If he battles with a monster, the monster gets a wedge counter, and then on my turn I can remove the wedge counter from all monsters my opponent controls, and they lose 0, and they go to 0 attack. It makes their attack 0, so it's another really good way to just deal a lot of damage, although 90% of the time they'll get rid of it before then. It's also an Eradicator Epidemic Virus target, because it's dark and it's 25, as well as deck devastation. Eradicator's not in my main deck right now, because I couldn't find a copy of it before the tournament. We have one. I'll probably throw it in the deck, and then if the deck does really well with it, I'll let you guys know, but I just want to bring out the deck profile. My level 8s, I've got Stardust, which is pretty self-explanatory, just good for protection against destruction if you're worried about back row or anything. Biel's is another card that's good if you're just afraid of destruction, because he can't be destroyed by card effects or battle. And then on the off chance your opponent tries to destroy him by battle, you don't take... Actually, I'm not sure if you take the battle damage or not. But, yeah, you take the damage, and if you take any effect damage as well, he'll gain that much attack points. So he's a real good way to bait out Honests, or they won't Honest it if they're smart. Otherwise, they'll let your monster gain 1600 attack to deal with next turn. The last card in my extra deck is a Leo Drake, Leo the Keeper of the Sacred Trees. Just a real pretty solid card. Level 9's not too tough to do in this deck. Sometimes you'll have that option out, and you might prefer to be protected from targeting like Compulse or Deep Prison, as opposed to protection from destruction like Biel's has, and it's just good to have the option. And he's a good 3100 attack points, which is just good stats. But that's my Blackwings. Sorry if I seem to rush it a little bit, but my camera only does 20 minutes, and I don't like letting my videos run too much longer than that anyway. We did go to the regional last, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I scrubbed out pretty bad. I played Bujins, I got stomped, and I dropped out by round 4 just because I kept misplaying and I was just doing bad. John also went to the regional, but I'll let him tell you how he did. Let him go over how we played and all that such. But I just want to bring out deck profile before Primal Origins, because I'm sure John will be bringing you Sylvans, I'll be bringing you Bujins, Scraps, maybe a Mecha Phantom Beast update if it's too much different with O-Lion. Artifacts is also a deck I'm really going to do, and I'm really excited for. I'm going to do Pure at first, and then I'll go from there and just figure out how I like the deck. But that was my Blackwings, and this is Donnie from Team Rynoke, out.